No, it is wait. Huh? Wait only.
There will be Charanamrit from previous day. Is it clean?
Yeah.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Maravindanalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundaranam Kandar Ako Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakalem Driya Vriti Manti Vasyan Divam Ikayanti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam
my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him a static emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Please be merciful to us. Please give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. Take shelter of your lotus feet. Papa ki jai. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Can I play number two? What do you want? Bhakati Sadma Mando Mui Sabadana Mate Savadana Mate Yara Prasade Bai He Baba Toriya Prasade Bai He Baba Toriya Krishna Prapti Oya Hoite Krishna Prapti Oya Hoite Krishna Prapti Oya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Shetete Koriya Kya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Kya Chitete Koriya Kya Narana Koriyo Mane Asha Narana Koriyo Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati He Sheu Tamagati Shri Guru Charane Rati He Sheu Tamagati Shri Guru Charane Rati He Sheu Tamagati He Sheu Tamagati Je Prasade Pure Sarva Hasha Je Prasade Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Chakurana Dilo De Jami Jami Prapuse Chakurana Dilo De Jami Jami Prapuse Divyagnire Prakasito Divyagnire Prakasito Prema Bhattiya Uti Abhinyavanasya Jate Prema Bhattiya Uti Abhinyavanasya Jate Bene Gaya Haracharito Bene Gaya Haracharito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Anamajana Mandu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Anamajana Mandu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Anamajana Mandu Lokina Lokira Jivana Lokina Lokira Jivana Srila Prabhupada Lokira Jivana Na Prabhu Kura Doya Deumori Padachaya Na Prabhu Kura Doya Deumori Padachaya Na Prabhu Kura Doya Deumori Padachaya Nemegas Kushudribuvana Nemegas Kushudribuvana Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Anamanja Naramandu Chiguru Karuna Sindhu Anamanja Narabandhu Lokina Lokira Divana Srila Prabhupada Lokila Divana Na Prabhu Kora Doya Del Mori Padataya Na Prabhu Kora Doya Del Mori Padataya Nebegas Kushu Tribhuvana Nebegas Kushu Tribhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namine Namo Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shunyavati Pashatare Satarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. All together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. I think they turned me down. They can't turn me down. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Sanji, Radha Kala Sanji Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitya Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitya Gaura Haribol. Yeah, butterflies on it. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gora. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Parahamsa Brahmacharya Stotra Shri Chmad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Antikoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiv Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakal Sandiji Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Brihat Mridanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Pramanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi, Guru, and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hari. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun militanyena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai. So welcome everyone to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from the third canto, chapter 16. So this is a new chapter. We'll be covering texts 1 to 12 today. So just to put it in context, what's happening here is this scene is taking place at the gates of Vaikuntha. So it's kind of the pearly gates, the entrance into the spiritual world, the abode of the Lord, the kingdom of God, which we just heard a very vivid description of in the last chapter. And there are these four saints, and they're very, very exalted spiritual personalities, and yet they, by their own spiritual potencies, they are able to keep themselves in the form of 5-year-old children. So there's 4 boys called the 4 Kumaras, and they've gone to visit their Lord, Lord Vishnu, in Vaikuntha, spiritual world. But they were stopped at the gates by the 2 doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay. They saw these little children coming, and they were like, wait a minute, who are you? And, they thought, these kids are just going to come here and do mischief and make a lot of noise and disturb Lord Vishnu. So they were doing their job as they thought, as best as they were trying to be responsible and, protect the Lord and maintain the sanctity of Vaikuntha by not letting these small children to go in there and cause trouble unsupervised by any parents. But the 4 Kumaras, they look like children, but they're actually like the direct sons of Brahma. They're the oldest people in the universe, apart from Lord Brahma himself, who's the creator or engineer of the material universes. But the doorkeepers failed to recognize that. So because of their failure to recognize the exalted spiritual level of the 4 Kumaras thought, how is it that you don't have the spiritual vision to be able to recognize who we are? And you're just judging us based on, superficialities, basically. So they said that's what people in the material world are like, that they judge people based on their bodies, and they exclude them because of their bodies, like, you're too young, you can't do this because you're too young, you can't do this because you're a woman, you can't do this because you're too old, you can't do this because you're, a certain whatever, race or something like that. So in the material world, people discriminate based on the body, but in the spiritual world, people aren't supposed to do that. You're supposed to have spiritual vision, you're supposed to see the soul, the, common oneness of the soul, and how everyone's spiritually equal. So they thought, you're not fit to be here. You're not fit to be in the spiritual world, so you should go to the material world where you belong. And so they cursed the four Kumaras, four Kumaras cursed Jai and Vijay to go to the material world. So there was a lot of commotion going on, and Lord Vishnu, he's inside the gate in his, palace, celestial palace and Vaikuntha palace, and he's hearing some commotion. These little boys, they want to come in. There's, oh, you can't come in. Who are you to say that? There's some back and forth conversation. There's some cursing. There's some, oh, no, now we're in trouble kind of thing going on. And so Lord Vishnu, he's like, what's going on over there? Let me go and see. Of course, he knows because he's the Lord. He knows everything. But he goes out and he checks out what's going on. So he appears before them, which made the four Kumaras very happy because the whole reason they went there was to see Lord Vishnu. And so when he was there standing in front of them, in his beautiful form, which is described, we heard that yesterday, he's twirling the lotus, and he's just very calm and cool and beautiful. And the four Kumaras were very pleased. And suddenly the mood changed. Everybody was just like, oh. So now the Lord is going to speak to the four Kumaras. And that's how this section opens. So we'll start here from text 1. Lord Brahma is narrating this pastime. Do we have a mic?
We do.
Awesome. Go ahead.
It needs batteries, but I'll get those.
Text 1. Lord Brahma said, after this, congratulating the sages for their nice words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode is in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows.
The personality of Godhead said, these attendants of mine, Jaya and Vijaya, by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me.
Text 3. O great sages, I approve of the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them.
Text 4. To me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the doormen are my servitor. I take this to be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen.
Okay, let's just pause here. So what's happening here is that Lord Vishnu, first of all, he's saying that my servants, these doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, they've committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me. So Prabhupada brings out in the purport here that whenever we offend a devotee, it's the cause of the offense is negligence of Krishna, or ignoring Krishna, basically. Because if we would be Krishna conscious, if we would actually be remembering Krishna and, conscious of Krishna, then we would also be aware of how much Krishna loves his devotees. And if we really connect with that truth, that absolute truth, that Krishna loves every single one of his devotees so dearly, then we would never want to offend a devotee. We would be very careful, what we would say to a devotee, because if we hurt a devotee, it's hurting Krishna. And as devotees, we want to please Krishna. We want Krishna to be happy with us. And obviously, he's not going to be happy with us if we offend his devotee. Just like, if you want to have a good relationship with a person who's a parent, and you mistreat their child, if you treat them unfairly, if you abuse their child, you're never going to have a good relationship with the parent. The parent's going to be like, get out of here, So, the same thing, Krishna, the devotees are like, and everybody, all living entities are like Krishna's children, and so if we actually want to have a nice relationship with Krishna, if we're actually conscious of Krishna and Krishna's relationship with all beings, then we need to respect all living entities, especially devotees who have dedicated their lives to the service of the Lord. So, Prabhupada says that in offending a devotee, one neglects the Supreme Lord himself. And then what we see here in these verses also is the Lord's sense of personal responsibility for the situation. Because Prabhupada says, the Lord understood that the trouble was due to his lotus feet not being seen by the sages. So he realized that these sages, the four Kumaras, they came here to see me, and the whole issue is because they want to see me, they're so eager to see me, and these doorkeepers are stopping them from seeing me. So it's kind of my fault because I'm not showing myself to them, and actually I can resolve the whole problem by just going there and appearing before them, and then they'll be happy. So Prabhupada says, the Lord is so merciful that even if there is some impediment for the devotee, he himself manages matters in such a way that the devotee is not bereft of having audience of his lotus feet. So even if, we want to connect with Krishna, we want to have a relationship with Krishna, even if there's some impediment to our doing that, because of, let's say we live in a place where there are no devotees or no temple, or let's say our family situation, we have members of our immediate family who are hostile towards our, wanting to be devotees, and they're trying to block us, or just whatever, whatever it is, maybe some internal thing that we have, some doubt or some past trauma that's blocking us from being able to really connect with Krishna in a loving relationship. So Krishna says that if we actually desire to have that relationship with him, he's so merciful that he will remove the impediment. He'll personally, he himself will manage matters in such a way that the devotee will get that connection, will have his audience in due course of time. So I thought that was really sweet. And yet he says that because the four Kumaras said they basically cursed Jai and Vijay that go to the material world, and Krishna says, I approve of this punishment. You've given them this punishment. I accept that, you've given them this punishment. Let it be. And in fact, I feel like it's my responsibility that not only have they hurt you, but because they're my servants, it's like I've hurt you. It's like somebody comes to your house as a guest, and a member of your household offends them. You personally feel like, oh my God, this is my fault. I need to go and apologize. Like let's say you have a child or some, they're eating, and then you have a small child who, whatever, goes and spills their drink or something, and the drink goes all over their lap, and you're like, so you're the parent, so you're like, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, please forgive him, let me try to rectify it, let me bring you some dry clothes to wear, whatever, you're trying to solve the problem, even though you didn't do it, but because a member of your household who's dependent on you did it, then you feel like you're responsible, and you are, basically, in a sense. So Lord Vishnu is feeling like that. You've come here, my servants have offended you. He says, the disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me, because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself, and therefore I personally seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen. So we can see here, this section is really so sweet because it really brings out very clearly the Lord's loving attitude towards his devotees, his sense of responsibility in relationships between devotees, and how he will go the extra mile to try to help devotees be connected with him and resolve disputes between devotees and make it all good. And we also see how Krishna is he's so sweet and so personal in this section. Okay, so is our mic back in operational? All right, so let's read text 5, whoever's next. Oh, Kadrian.
A wrong act committed by a servant leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin.
So this is something, that we as devotees should also consider, because whatever we do, however we behave, that's a reflection on Krishna. Basically, that's what he's saying, or on our spiritual masters, on Srila Prabhupada, like that. So we have to act in ways that People, when they see us, the way that we speak, the way that we act, the way that we conduct ourselves, the way we keep our environment, we have to do all those things in such a way that people think, wow, Krishna is amazing. Srila Prabhupada's movement is amazing because I met this person and they were so kind, they were so caring, they were so knowledgeable, they were very friendly. Like that. That's a reflection on Krishna himself, because that's how we know Krishna. You know, Krishna is standing there on the altar, but it's hard to access a relationship with Krishna in that form. You know, although it's nice that we can see what he looks like, we can pray to him and offer prayers to him and things. But as far as having a personal connection, that's generally through the devotees. You know, that we can talk to, we can ask questions, we can do service with, like that. So Prabhupada starts off this purport saying, a Vaishnava therefore should be fully qualified. So we shouldn't think that, actually, I'm just a servant, Krishna is the master, so if I make a mistake, it doesn't matter, Krishna will deal with it. We shouldn't think like that. The opposite, we should think, actually, whatever I do, Krishna's feeling like he's doing, and I don't want him to feel bad. You know, I don't want him to feel like he has to go around apologizing to everybody that I offend, like he does here in this scenario. So Prabhupada says, a devotee should always see that his Vaishnava qualities increase with the advancement of his Krishna consciousness. A devotee should be blameless, because any offense by the devotee is a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee's duty is to always be conscious in his dealings with others, especially with another devotee of the Lord. Okay, let's go to text 6, please.
Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct has been found hostile to you.
So Krishna is saying this Lord Vishnu is saying this for the edification of Jai and Vijay. He's pointing out that, you know, you, Jai and Vijay, you have misjudged, you've totally misjudged these 4 boys based on their physical appearance. But you should know that anyone in the entire world, even the lowest person, even like somebody that's just like very gross in their lifestyle, that they like cook and eat dogs, if they hear the glorifications of the holy name, they hear the glories of the Lord from pure devotees, from the scriptures and things, then they immediately become totally purified. And these boys, they've been hearing me for, you know, thousands of years. They look only 5 years old, but they're actually thousands of years old. And their whole lives have just been, you know, hearing my glories, chanting my names, cultivating knowledge of me, cultivating the relationship with me, culminating in the fact that they're so eager to see me in person. And now, look what you've done. You're my servants, you're kind of like my right-hand men in one sense. But even if my own arm would offend a Vaishnava like these 4 boys, I would cut off my own arm if it did some act to hurt them. And so in the same way, you know, you also deserve this punishment that you've been given. And like cutting off the arm would separate the arm from the body, so you will be for some time separated from me by having to go to the material world. And that's fair because the gravity of what you've done due to misunderstanding these devotees. So, yeah. Okay, let's go to text 7.
The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wiped out all sins, and I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her, while others praises her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor.
So yeah, now Lord Vishnu is taking it to the next level here. He's saying that because I'm the reason that people worship me, the reason that the goddess of fortune is so attached to me is because I'm a servant of my devotees. Like, that is my qualification. The Lord, He's not saying I'm the Supreme Personality, but He's saying my qualification, the only greatness that I have is the fact that I am a servant of my devotees, that I'm dedicated to those who have surrendered themselves to me. And in the material world, everyone is, begging for the favor of the goddess of fortune, because goddess of fortune means Lakshmi, or that's her name, and she bestows wealth and good fortune in so many ways on people who worship her. But he says, and she's the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. But he says, I'm not even that, I'm not even attached to the goddess of fortune, although everybody else is begging for her blessings. I'm not attached to her, but she's so attached to me, and the reason that she never leaves my lotus feet is because my feet have become purified due to the service that I do for my devotees. So, not just that the devotees are great, but my greatness is only due to my relationship as a servant of my devotees. So he's really like pointing out how much he loves his devotees, how much he feels, that reciprocal relationship with them, that they serve me, I serve them, we're like this, You can't offend my devotees. Text 8.
I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrificers in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own mouths, with the same relish as I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee, which are offered to the mouths of the Brahmins, who have dedicated to me the results of their activities, and who are ever satisfied with my prasad.
So a lot of times in the Vedic culture, there's a tradition of doing these sacrifices where there'll be a fire, and then the priest will chant sacred mantras, and while doing so, offer ghee into the fire. And the fire is said to represent the mouth of the Lord, of Lord Vishnu. So when you offer ghee and grains and things into that fire, it's like you're doing an offering to the Lord. So he says, and we do those kind of fire sacrifices at special events, like weddings, initiation ceremonies. Most of you have probably attended such ceremonies. And it's a big event, it's a big, kind of like ceremonial event. But Lord Vishnu is saying here that better than offering ghee into the fire is to use that ghee to make delicious food preparations and offer those to the devotees to eat, to the Brahmins, to my devotees to eat. And in that way I'll be much more pleased than if you try to feed me directly. So there's a saying that Krishna eats through the mouths of the Brahmins. And Prabhupada says at the end of the purport that if one can feed a Brahmin or a Vaishnava, it is better than performing hundreds and thousands of sacrifices. In this age, therefore, it is recommended that Harinama, chanting the holy name of God, and pleasing the Vaishnava are the only means to elevate oneself to spiritual life. So that's very important, is that chanting the holy names and pleasing the devotees. Krishna is so pleased when we please his devotees. So any little thing that we can do to make a devotee happy, sometimes just smiling at a devotee, giving a devotee a hug. If they're looking down, ask them, how's it going? Doing little services to help them in whatever way we can. That's the best way to please Krishna. Krishna is so happy with that, and by doing that, we make so much spiritual advancement. Prabhupada is saying that's the only way to elevate oneself in spiritual life, is that and chanting the holy names. Okay, text 9.
I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds, along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust off the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same?
Thank you. So yeah, he's saying that my feet are so my feet are so worshipable, so sacred and holy, that the Ganges water that everybody goes to take bath in to become purified from their sins, the reason that it's holy, the reason that water of the Ganges is holy, is because it has washed over my feet. And he says, so everybody's wanting to worship my feet and take bath in the Ganges because it's touched my feet. But as for myself, I'm taking the dust of the feet of my devotees and putting that on my head. So if even I, whose feet purify the whole world, am taking the dust from the feet of my devotees on my head, then who would not do the same? Who would refuse to take the dust from the feet of devotees and put it on their heads? Like, who's thinking that they're too good, that I'm too exalted, I'm too, I'm too good to stoop to the level of taking dust from a devotee's feet and put it on my head. Myself, I do that, and I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that means that if I do it, you should do it, because, no one is more exalted than Krishna, the Lord. So in that way, he's encouraging everyone to take a humble position and to always be very careful with how we deal with devotees, that we can serve devotees and even touch the feet of the devotees and put that dust on our heads, and that will purify us. So he's indirectly, he's talking to the Kumaras, but he's indirectly instructing Jai and Vijay that, how could you have stopped them? How could you have offended these great souls? Like, even I worship souls like these four boys. I take the dust of their lotus feet and put it on my head any day of the week, and you're stopping them from entering my kingdom? What is wrong with you, kind of thing. So, but because because Jai and Vijay are also devotees, then he's doing it sensitively. He's not just telling them that they're out and out nonsense, but he's in a positive, he's not taking a negative position, like you've done this wrong, you're bad or whatever. But he's taking the positive approach. And my devotees are so glorious. I worship their lotus feet, and in a way that they're listening, and oh my God, we shouldn't. Then they realize their mistake, and they will change their mentality. Okay, text 10.
The brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Yamaraj, the superintendent of sinful persons.
So he's kind of telling them that this is what happens. Yamaraj is the Lord of death, and he's the person who kind of the time of death, he decides who's going where, who's going up, who's going down, what their next birth is going to be. And he has these messengers. If Yamaraj decides that someone's going to a hellish place, because they've been extremely sinful and cruel and horrible, then he has these vulture-like messengers that come and, tear the person apart. So he's like, people who offend my devotees, that's what happens to them. So, be careful. All right, text 11.
On the other hand, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened in heart, and who their lotus faces enlighten by nectarian smiles. Respect the brahmanas, even though the brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you.
So here he's contrasting that, people who offend the devotees, they get torn apart by the messengers of Yamaraj. But people who treat the devotees nicely, whose hearts are gladdened when they see a devotee, whose faces light up with smiles when they see a devotee, who offer respect, visibly offer respect to Brahmins and devotees, even though those devotees might speak some harsh words, then, they are glorious. They please me so much. So he's specifically saying that, sometimes, it may happen that a devotee, maybe they've had a bad day, they're going through difficulties in their life, they didn't get enough sleep that night, or they're hungry, hangry. They might say something, that's a little harsh or that hurts, they may say something insensitive, they may speak rashly. But even if a devotee says something hurtful to you, still you shouldn't retaliate with unkind words. You should still maintain a humble, respectful disposition towards that devotee, and just Prabhupada says, one may sometimes be faced with a grievous situation created by a Brahmin, but instead of meeting him with a similar mood, one should try to pacify him with a smiling face and mild treatment. So, yeah, we should try to just smooth out the situation. You know, the devotees are angry because of us, or they're venting something that else that happened. Just try to smile and be sympathetic, do some empathic listening, and accept, you know, what they're saying, and humbly, you know, continue to be favorably disposed towards them. Yeah, Prabhupada says, it is specifically said that to pacify the brahmanas, one face should be lotus-like. So what does that mean? What does it mean to have a lotus-like face? Prabhupada says, a lotus-like face is exhibited when one is adorned with love and affection. So this is important, that we should, even if we're met with harshness, we should respond with affection, with love, knowing that this person is so dear to Krishna. And how can I say that I love Krishna if I don't love those who are dear to him? I need to, and just take it, you know. So, and we see examples of that throughout the scriptures. You know, there's one place where Daksha, he's like chastising Narada Muni up, down, and right, left, and center. Narada Muni gets chastised here and then because he's always preaching renunciation, and sometimes people don't like that. So, but in this case, Daksha is just totally venting on Narada Muni, and he's just standing there. It's described, he's just standing there with folded hands, just hearing him out, just letting him speak, and, you know, to his heart's content. And then when Daksha's finished, when he's got it all out, then Narada Muni just says some kind words and offers his respect and peacefully walks away. So, and that way Daksha becomes pacified. So like that. Yeah, we should try to always respond with affection and love. Okay, text 12 is the last verse that we're covering today. Yes, please.
These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me, if you order that, although reaping the fruits of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and at the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long.
So now he's making a request of the four Kumaras, because they've just cursed the doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, to go to the material world. So Jai and Vijay are also devotees. They've maybe made a mistake. They've, you know, not handled them. They haven't acted with love and affection towards the four Kumaras. But they're also dear to the Lord, and they're also servant. They're also devotees. So the Lord is saying, yeah, they made a mistake because they didn't understand my mind. But please do me a favor, and although I accept that they're going to have to go to the material world, and that's okay, but please do me a favor and let them come back very soon, because I don't want them to be there for too long. I'm going to miss them here, and I know that they're going to be happier here. So let them suffer their punishment, but make it minimal. You know, let them come back as soon as possible. So he's showing how, you know, the Lord is affectionate to both sides. He loves all of them. He loves the four Kumaras. He also loves Jai and Vijay, and he just wants everyone to be happy in his association and smooth out the wrinkles here as much as possible. So, yeah, Prabhupada writes, the Lord is so kind to his devotees that he took all responsibility for the doorman's offense and requested the sages to give them facility to return to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. Okay, so let's go back to text 7. We don't have a lot of time, but we'll just read this verse in purport. Yat sevaya charana padma pavitra renum sadhyakshata kilamalam pratilabdashilam nashri viraktam apimam vijahati yasyaha Prekshalavarta itare niyaman vahanti. Please chant. Yat sevaya charana padma pavitrarenum. Yakshata kilamalam pratilabdashilam. Na shiviraktam api mam vijahati yasyaha. Prekshalavarta itare niyaman vahanti. Just one more. Yat sevaya charana padma pavitrarenum. Sadyakshata kilamalam pratilabdashilam. Na shirviraktam api mam vijahati yasya. Prekshalavarta itare niyaman vahanti. So word for word all together. Yat, of whom, sevaya, by the service, charana, feet, padma, lotus, pavitra, sacred, renum, the dust, sadhya, immediately, kshata, wiped out, akila, all, malam, sins, pratilabda, acquired, shilam, disposition, na, not, Shri, the goddess of fortune, viraktam, have no attachment, api, even though, mam, me, vijahati, leave, yasyaha, of the goddess of fortune, preksha lava arta, for obtaining a slight favor, itare, others, like Lord Brahma, niyaman, sacred vows, vahanti, observe. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin. And I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her, and others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor. Purport. The relationship between the Lord and His devotees is transcendently beautiful. Nice opening line, right? The relationship between the Lord and His devotees is transcendently beautiful. Sometimes we talk about, it's a beautiful person, they have a beautiful relationship. So this is like a transcendently beautiful relationship between Krishna and devotees. As the devotee thinks that it is due to being a devotee of the Lord that he is elevated in all good qualities, so the Lord also thinks it is because of his devotion to his servitor that all his transcendental glories have increased. So devotees think, if I have any good quality, it's just because I'm a devotee. It's just because I've been blessed by Krishna, because of the service that I've rendered to him. And the devotees think, and Krishna is thinking, Lord Vishnu is thinking, if I have any good qualities, it's just because I'm the devotee of my devotees and they've blessed me. So it's very reciprocal. In other words, as the devotee is always anxious to render service to the Lord, so the Lord is ever anxious to render service to his devotee. The Lord admits herein that although he certainly has the quality that anyone who receives a slight particle of the dust of his lotus feet becomes at once a great personality, this greatness is due to his affection for his devotee. It is because of this affection that the goddess of fortune does not leave him, and that not only one but many thousands of goddesses of fortune engage in his service. In the material world, simply to get a little favor of the goddess of fortune, people observe many rigid regulations of austerity and penance. The Lord cannot tolerate any inconvenience on the part of the devotee. He is therefore famous as Bhakta Vatsala. Bhakta Vatsala means one who is favorably inclined towards his devotees. And we see that there are so many pastimes in which the Lord serves his devotees, even taking an inferior position. Like in the Battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna becomes the chariot driver of Arjuna. You can see on the cover of the Bhagavad Gita, there's a picture of Arjuna in the chariot with his bow, and Krishna's driving. So the driver is considered to be like inferior to like a taxi driver is like, inferior to the person who's, paying him to drive them here and there. He's like a servant of the person that he's driving for. So, but Krishna takes that position, the lower position, as the servant that just tell me wherever you want to go, and I'll take you there, kind of thing. And then when another devotee, Maharaj Yudhisthira, holds a big event at his palace, so many exalted personalities are coming from all over the universe to attend this event, and Krishna takes the very humble position of washing the feet of all the guests. So, especially sages and renunciants, they would not wear shoes, they would walk around barefoot, so their feet would be very dirty just from, the dust from the street and everything. So when they would arrive at someone's home or, a temple, then before entering, they would wash their feet. So Krishna, he would meet them at the front door, and he would have them sit down, and he would have a bowl there and a jug of water, and he would pour water on their feet and wash their feet, and then afterwards he would actually take that water and put it on his head, thinking that this person is superior to me, and the dust of their feet is worshipable, because all of the people who are coming to the event of my devotee are also my devotees. Or the fact that they're coming to help support my devotee in the event is so pleasing to me that I'll also worship them. So Krishna, he's amazing. There, in different religions, there are various conceptions of God, and some people they think of the Lord as someone to be feared, someone who's just standing there with a thunderbolt ready to like throw it on your head, if you perform any kind of sinful activity. But that's, the Lord may have to do those things if he's forced to, just like a parent doesn't want to punish the child, but if the child is really mischievous, they have to do something to, teach them proper behavior. So sometimes the Lord punishes, but that's not his nature. The nature of the parent is not that they're just waiting for the kid to do something wrong so they can slap them or ground them or, take away their privileges. That's not what parents are about. They love the children. They want to just shower them with affection all the time, but just sometimes they have to do these things as a matter of duty. So the Lord, sometimes he has to, punish certain people who are, incorrigible in their evilness, but he would rather just love everyone. So that's what we see here. We see Krishna's nature, that he wants to just shower everyone with affection, and he's very sweet. It reminded me of this one song. It's called the Sri Madhurastakam, which goes Adaram Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram Nayanam Madhuram Hasitam Madhuram Hridayam Madhuram Gamaman Madhuram Madhuradi Pater Akilam Madhuram. So there's a word there that I'm sure you notice repeated a lot. Madhuram, it means sweet. So the translation for there are 8 stanzas. The first one goes, his lips are sweet, his face is sweet, his eyes are sweet, his smile is sweet, his heart is sweet, his gait is sweet, everything is sweet about the Emperor of Sweetness. And then it goes on, his words are sweet, his character is sweet, his dress is sweet, his belly folds are sweet, his movements are sweet, his wandering is sweet, everything is sweet about the Emperor of Sweetness. And it goes on like that for 8 stanzas. So, yeah, that's the nature of Krishna. And in all of his incarnations, Lord Vishnu is we're hearing about Lord Vishnu, an incarnation of Krishna. Krishna is the original form of the Lord. He's the source of all these incarnations. So it's not that we're polytheistic, we're monotheistic. There's one Lord, and that's Krishna. But from Krishna expand different incarnations who perform different functions in the universe on his behalf. So, but because Krishna is sweet, then all of his incarnations are also sweet. And so, George Harrison, he really had some realization when he wrote that song. my sweet Lord. I really want to see you. I really want to be with you. I really want to know you. So we should also think of the Lord that way, that Krishna, you're so sweet. We see Krishna on the altar. He's just so sweet. He's always smiling. He's just this playful, youthful, young, transcendental boy who, plays with the cowherd boys and dances with the gopis, who can see all this beautiful artwork. So windows to the spiritual world that give us an insight to Krishna's sweet, loving pastimes in which he displays various kinds of affection to various kinds of devotees who love him in different ways. And it's just nice to meditate on Krishna's sweet form, his sweet smile, his sweet qualities, his sweet pastimes, and his sweet devotees. And we should also imbibe that sweetness. Devotees should be just like gulab jamans, just dripping with sweetness, that whoever touches a devotee just gets like soaked with sweetness. And that's how to represent Krishna. That's the proper way to represent Krishna. We're hearing about how, if we mistreat someone, that's a scar on Krishna's reputation. But if we treat someone with sweetness, then that's actually like we're actually being a true representative of the Lord. That's what it means to actually be a spiritual master. Spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. Spiritual master is one who represents Krishna as he is, in his sweetness, in his affection. So whenever we deal with each other, whenever we introduce Krishna consciousness to new people, guests who may come to the temple, we should do so with sweetness, with affection, with care, and with love, because that's how Krishna would do it. That's how he wants us to that's who he is, and that's how he wants us to represent him. So, and if there's some problem, if there's some issue, we should try to deal with that in the most affectionate way possible. Like, we may need to correct someone if they're doing something that's harmful to themselves or others, but even then, it should be done with love and not with malice, not with envy, not with, to any intention to hurt or to cut off or exclude. So we should avoid all those kinds of behaviors, because that's not what the Lord is about, and that's not what devotees are about. Devotees are all about love and affection. And by treating with each other with love and affection and respect, then that's the best way to please the Lord. That's what the Lord is saying here. That's what this whole situation is about. That's what we're meant to learn from this. So, are there any questions or comments on this section of the pastime? Yes. Pass KG the mic. Just say it in the mic because they're online listeners.
Oh, okay. I had a question about Jai and Vijay.
Yeah.
They were at Krishna's abode, or Krishna's abode. So I'm just wondering how does that mean that it's possible to, slip up and forget Krishna or ignore Krishna even in his presence, I guess, even when you're that close to him?
Yeah, Prabhupada talks about that in one of the purports. Says that it's unlikely that somebody's going to make an offense in the spiritual world, but he said even if there is some discrepancy, it's generally not a problem because the Lord immediately takes care of it. So there's a chance that there may be some discrepancy, not due to an evil intention, but due to misunderstanding. And that's what this was, that it was a misunderstanding. They were trying to serve the Lord in the best way that they knew how, but like Lord Vishnu says, he says, they didn't really understand my mind, nor did they understand what great personalities you were. They were just trying to serve me to the best of their ability. But there was a discrepancy due to misunderstanding. So, but ultimately, it's true. These things generally don't happen in the kingdom of God, but we're going to learn in future, as this pastime unfolds, we're going to learn that this was actually all orchestrated by the Lord himself. This all happened by the Lord's will, like by his desire. This altercation took place because the Lord has different moods, and sometimes he likes to have a good fight. Just like boys, when they're playing with each other, they sometimes like to fight. They'll pick a quarrel between each other, and they'll kind of wrestle and rough each other up a little bit. So Krishna also likes to do that. After all, he's a guy, he likes to sometimes rough play. So and so when he fights, see, even like people in the material world, they don't like to fight with people who really want to hurt them or kill them or are really dangerous people, but they like to fight with their friends. They like to play fight. So Krishna, even when he has this desire to fight, he wants to fight with his devotees, but he wants it to be a real fight. He doesn't want it to be like kid gloves. He wants it to be like really with emotion, with really an experience. So this whole cursing, when the 4 Kumaras cursed the Jai and Vijay to go to the material world, they're given the option to take 7 births as devotees or 3 births as demons. And they actually choose, this is also inspired by the Lord within their hearts, they choose to take 3 births as demons. Their reasoning is that then we can come back sooner, because 3 births is going to be quicker than 7 births. But the Lord also induced them, he inspired them to make that decision, because if they take birth as demons, then they can fight, then the fighting can happen, because they'll be playing this role of evil personalities, and then the Lord can descend and kill them, basically. So of course they're not killed because the soul is eternal. It's just that demoniac form that they're playing is terminated. So ultimately it's all a pastime. And there's a lot of this in the scriptures. We see that whenever there's some incident, often the Lord has some underlying purpose. There's some pastime, some way in that the Lord is going to have some fun with his devotees through these kinds of things. Yeah, but that was a really good question. Thank you. Does that make it clear? Okay, cool. All right. Anything else quickly? All right. So Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Bol. Thank you.
One nice section.
I love that section. Oops.